I hope we're all doing well, and I hope we had a good weekend. Euro USD this morning has been quite consolidative, not really moving. But if we look throughout last week, you can see last week, if you were here, we're anticipating a sell, right? That was our speculation for last week. The thing is now we've we've come in here, we've made a connection with this quarterly open. We've touched this quarterly open, and where we also came into this strong for our supply. Why is it a strong for our supply? Because if we look to the left, it took out liquidity, right? It took out this liquidity, took out liquidity right here, and then from there we started to sell. So, and then we broke market structure, right? For me personally, this is a strong high which took out liquidity to the left and then broke market structure. So it's quite fine for you to look for sales from there. However, if we go to the daily time frame and analyze your USD, we can see it's clear that we're in an uptrend, right? So you can see lower low, oh sorry, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So it's not wrong to say, okay, perhaps this is now making a higher low, and then we're now going for that higher high, right? Swing wise, we're bullish on Euro USD, but also if we look at the immediate market structure, guys, this is our buy before the sell. So this supply zone is still holding. So I'm looking for sells as long as this supply zone still holds. The only reason where I'll start looking for otherwise is, guys, if we have a break here and then we can have that retest and then we start to look for those higher prices in anticipation of making higher highs. Personally, for me, I wouldn't look for sales until we break this high. And if we, as I said earlier, the internal structure, the immediate structure that we have is bearish, right? So we're just following the internal structure and looking for the shorts, right? And if we look at here, right? So here we had a break to the upside, right? So this was our higher low, higher high, and then we broke it, right? So this became a higher low, this became a lower high and lower low, lower high, lower low. So now we've retraced into premium pricing. We've retraced into premium pricing, touched the quarterly open, so it's quite fine, right? Anticipating those short positions. However, the only thing that's keeping me is if we look here, you can see this demand level right here is holding. So for me to look for short, I would want this to break, this level that I marked here, right? I would want this to break, and then from there I can look for something like this, right? And then a retracement, and then be looking for those short, because we're still bullish in the internal 4 hour structure, right? In this leg, right? We're still bullish and this demand is still holding. So I want to see those bears come into the market, start pushing it down, and then we start to sell with them, targeting this equal lows and this daily liquidity right here, right? This liquidity right here, these zones right here. So guys, it's just all about being patient. We just wait, let's see how it develops, and then we can follow the market. Because if we look at the dollar index, right? If we look at dollar index, if we look to our left, right, we have this sell before the buy. We grabbed the liquidity below it, and then we started um to buy, and this was our fractal high, this was our fractal low. We broke that fractal structure, but we're still inside this supply level, guys. So for me, I want us to break this high, right? I want us to break this high, telling me, okay, we're now good to go, right? I want us to break this high, and then we can start looking for those longs. Because if we analyze the dollar on the, let's go to the daily time frame, guys. If we analyze the dollar on daily time frame, you can see basically what I'm looking for, right? So now we're in a bearish leg, but also we've started to what consolidate, right? Started to consolidate, guys. Started to consolidate. So we have this trend line, one touch, second touch, and then this third fake out right here, and then we started to push up into, and now we've come into this daily demand level, right? So we came into this daily demand level, and now we have this target, and this extreme target. So for me personally, it's all about, okay, waiting for that internal 4 hour shift, right? Waiting for this high to go, and then we can start scaling in for positions in for buying the dollar, right? So, or else we could just continue downward. This supply level could hold, and then we'll just keep on trickling downward and downward, right? So that's why we have to be cautious and we have to be patient. Now, if we come into GBP/USD, let me delete this. I'm actually not in a position. So let's delete this. Let's make this a little bit clearer. It's a bit. Yeah. Okay. Now let's put in the opens. So here we have our quarterly open. Okay. So now for GBP/USD, as we've been saying all week long, right? So here our swing, if we look at here, right? So here we had that swing low, we had that swing low, then we broke it to the high, right? We broke it to the high here, right here. We broke it, and then we kept breaking highs and highs, but here we started to break lows, right? So this was where we had that change of character. We started to take out those lows, high lows, and then now you can see also, now we retrace all the way up here to grab this liquidity. We grab all of this liquidity into this strong supply zone, right? The strong supply zone that broke the structure, right? That broke our previous structure. So this was a strong supply zone that broke that previous structure, and then from there we just started to sell. From there, I think we saw about how many pip drop, about a 200 pip drop the last time, or even more than, right? Even 500 pip drop. So now we retrace into this open, this previous quarterly open. Let me even delete this previous quarterly open, and then we started to sell off from there. And you can see we've also switched bearish, right? Here we had that break of what, that break of structure again, right, to the downside, right? So this became our swing high, this is now our swing low. So if we put our PVD tool right here, you can see we've retraced into what, into premium pricing. And if we go to the 4 hour time frame, you can see on the 4 hour time frame we've taken our liquidity, this liquidity high. This right here is not a liquidity high. Why, guys? Because if we look to the left, it grabbed liquidity to its left and then broke market structure. So for this is our liquidity high, this is our strong supply zone. Let's mark it out. That's why I marked it out then. So this is our buy before the sell. So you can see we came into that supply zone. If it loads, so we came into that supply zone, and then now we started to sell from there, and our quarterly open also acting as resistance right here, right, guys? So the thing for me is I'll be looking to sell GBP USD, but although I can recognize that the dollar is not ready, so the dollar is my final bit of confidence for selling this. It's looking quite ready, honestly, but the dollar is not ready, and we don't need to jump the gun because the dollar can just keep on trickling lower and lower and lower, and then we won't have a position on our hands. So for me, that's why I'm still holding on, waiting for this low to go, right? If this low goes, waiting for this low to go, right? If this low goes and then we have something like this, right? And then I would be looking to scaling aggressively to target these lows on GBP USD. But for now, I'm just holding and waiting to see what the dollar wants to do. Okay, guys. So let's not rush. For NZD USD, what can I say? It's quite. You see, NZD USD is bearish, but also if you look at this, it's been quite choppy, not really moving at the moment. So for me, the only way I'll be looking for a position is if we take out these highs, take out these liquidity highs, perhaps we can into this area, this buy before the sell, which also has our quarterly open, and maybe from there we can look for those sales. I don't know why my rectangle is not staying on my chart, but so this is the right, so we'll grab this liquidity, these highs, and then from there we can start looking for those sales because it's extremely bearish, so all we just want to do is sell. And from last week, remember, if we spoke last week that a lot of people, because this is risk off pairs, so people are taking their money away from this and going into pairs like Japanese yen, like the Swiss franc, which we'll discuss in a bit. Because if we look at AUD USD, AUD USD, NZD USD, they are both risk off pairs. So AUD USD is also very choppy. You can see, guys, just choppy, choppy. If I would look for any sell, it would be after we've taken out this liquidity and then perhaps connect with this area right here, and then we can look for those sales from there, because here we have our break of structure to the downside, so it's our swing high and these are swing low. So if we look for that retracement, it would be into probably the 50% retracement, yeah, probably 50% and above premium pricing. So let's see how that develops towards the end of the week, guys. And then for USD CHF, this is quite nice because if we come to the daily, I remember, guys, there's more sentiment towards buying the CHF, so the CHF will probably be stronger. These are quarterly open, right? We've broken daily market structure and daily fractal structure. Actually, we've broken daily fractal structure rather. So we're bearish on the daily, bearish on the 4 hour, retracement into this strong supply zone. This can be like an edging position against those dollar longs, right? And this is a nice supply zone because we took liquidity to the left, guys. So we took liquidity to the left and then we broke structure. So and I like the way it's retracing slowly and slowly. So once we get into there and perhaps we see bear step into the market, we can look for those short positions, right? So I'm watching that also. And then with gold, guys, what can I say? See, gold now has retraced, right? And then it took liquidity to the left, which is nice to see. Took all of this liquidity, and then now it's just about making higher highs and higher lows. So for me personally, if we start to see injection of price, perhaps we break this high, right? Perhaps we break this high, and then we can start looking for those scaling in and entry into gold. So let's watch out for that. And also we can still just keep on making lows and just grabbing more liquidity along the way. So let's be cautious and let's be careful. But I mean, you wouldn't want to do any other thing but but buy this market, right? So that's all I'm looking for. USD card quite bullish too, as we spoke last week. But the thing with USD card is if we look to the left, you can see we've grabbed this major liquidity right here. So looking for longs now, it's a bit more tricky. I would wait for a deeper retracement, perhaps into that quarterly open that we spoke about here, right? Perhaps into this level. taking all of this liquidity, maybe we get that, and then I would be more confident in looking for those longs. I'm still very interested in buying this pair, but you have to be cautious buying from here unless you just want to go with momentum, because momentum is bullish. You just want to go with momentum. Okay, we've taken these lows and then we're retracing to this demand level, right? And then we want to look for those buys from there. That's fine if you have the appetite for that, but I would just rather wait for a deeper retracement. Okay, that's USD CAD. And then USD JPY, guys. I'm not looking for sells on this thing too, guys. I'm looking for buys. And then you can see we changed. Did we change fractal structure here? No, these are fractal high. These are fractal low, guys. Fractal high, fractal low. So I would want this high to go, and then perhaps some retracement, and then we can look for those longs. Because if we look to the left, guys, we've already taken out this liquidity that we're aiming for. We've connected to the daily demand level, so looking for longs from here is not a bad idea. So you just want to break off that high and then scaling into those long positions. Let's see how it goes. Okay, guys, I wish you a wonderful trading week. Have a wonderful day. Be patient and take care, guys.